What's going on, guys? K Bizzy here. Thank you all for tapping into another episode of Halftime with K Bizzy. Today we have another very, very special episode of the podcast, and I really mean it when I say that. This episode touches a certain place in my heart in regards to Counter-Strike, because when I got into Counter-Strike, this man right here was one of the first people I started watching. We have none other than the one and only Summit1G. This was something that I tried to put together with Summit over the course of a few months, and he had some IRL stuff going on, but was still super down to do it, and he stuck to his word, and I can't thank him enough for doing so, because I'm sure there's a million other things that he could be doing, and he gave me a very good amount of time to answer some questions I had for him and do this podcast today. So mega shout out to Summit1G. Go show him some love in the comments right now. Today we touch on quite a few topics. We start with how we got introduced to Counter-Strike, getting involved with professional Counter-Strike. Of course, we touched on the infamous 1G Molly. There was no way I was going to do an interview with the man himself and not ask him about the Summit1G Molly. Let's be real. And we also touch base on a very serious topic such as swatting, which is obviously something that's very widely known on the internet, and it's a thing that has happened many times so far amongst many people in the community of any type of game, really, not just Counter-Strike. And bad things have happened. People have been injured, people have died from stuff like this. Summit1G was actually a victim to such a event. I don't know what you'd call it, a tragedy, really. So he was luckily able to escape with no injuries with his friend, and we kind of shed some light on that too, which I think is very important, because a lot of people think it's fun to just troll around like that, and they think it's okay to swat people or whatever. So that's a very important topic that we touch on today, and I'm really glad that he was willing to talk about such a traumatic experience. I'm gonna stop rambling as usual. I know I say that a lot, but I tend to do it. I'm just super grateful for today's episode, and I'm sure you guys are gonna love today's episode as much as I did. An absolute trip. And we will be having Summit1G on the community congregation number 3, which is coming up, I think, in about a week from recording this. So stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, get ready for an amazing episode with Summit1G, and we will catch you guys on the outro. Thanks for tuning in. I have to give you a massive thank you for doing this. This means more than I could even put into words. Like, really.
Hey, man. Thanks for reaching out and, being consistent. I know I'm not the easiest to communicate with, you know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you staying consistent, and, we got it working.
Yeah, for sure, man. And the thing is, too, is like, I don't ever want to be a bother. Like, I'm sure you have a million other things that you could be doing, so I don't want to be, breathing down your neck or anything.
No, you did it perfect, honestly. Yeah, like I said, I understand that I'm not super easy to communicate with. So, to get this going, we'll take it.
All right, and I appreciate it, man. So there's a lot to unpack, and I think it only makes sense to start off with your roots of Counter-Strike and to talk about what kind of got you involved with Counter-Strike back in the day.
Okay. Yeah, I got a story for that. I used to actually go to a card shop, a local card shop. It was called Squeeze Play, and it was someplace I always went to. Me and my little brother used to always go to. We'd play Pokemon cards, Lord of the Rings, new Star Wars came out, right? We're all over the Star Wars stuff. One day I walked in, and this is after like years of going there. One day I walked in, and they had like 5 or 6 computers set up for the first time, and I saw the owner playing with a bunch of his friends. Counter-Strike is on the screen. I'd never seen this game before. Instantly, I fell in love and knew that I had to go home and get it on my computer. Unfortunately, it didn't really work out like that. My computer at home only had 32 megabytes of RAM. I don't know if you remember the comps back in those days. Yeah.
Wow.
32 megabytes of RAM. Remember that? Oh man. Yeah, still 56K like connecting and stuff back. Like that's how long ago it was. This was like before Counter-Strike even was retail, before 1.0. You would just go to their website and download it at counterstrike.net. And
Okay.
so yeah, I go home. My computer can't handle that sort of thing, and so I end up just playing Team Fortress Classic, which was like something similar. I actually couldn't even play the full game of Team Fortress Classic. I could only play sniping servers because
Oh,
there's nobody jumping in front of you, making your computer lag and stuff, right? So yeah, I started doing sniping servers. After doing that for a long time, my parents got me a computer. Then I started rolling into pub Counter-Strike games, right? So I
okay.
was just pubbing, getting a little better, and then eventually after that, I remember because I had at Squeeze Play, I started going there all the time, buying all day passes and playing Counter Strike on their computers while I didn't have it at home, right? So then one of the guys that was at the place was kind of dibble dabbling in competitive CS. The first time I'd ever heard about IRC was when he hit me up and was like, "Yo, you want to maybe play for a team? I know you're not a competitive player. You can download IRC, blah 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 blah." And so it opened up this whole world of competitive CS that I didn't even know existed yet.
Oh
So yeah,
wow.
that's kind of how I got started. Then me and my friends started talking about it at school and blah 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 blah, and I started getting more serious with it. I started getting a little bit better. I started like looking for my own actual teams, not just like a willy nilly like squadron of my random friend from the LAN. So
Yeah.
that's pretty much how I got started. LAN center to home eventually.
Okay, for sure. And when you began this, I'm assuming, because you were pretty young and stuff, like this was more of a hobby for you. Like you weren't thinking about a long-term competitive,
Oh
type
no,
of,
no.
it was just pure hobby and pure love for the game.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I was still like in my zone where I wanted to just be kicking everyone's butts in my community server. You know what I'm saying? This a public community server where we
Yeah.
had like our clans, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. So I was still in that groove. You know what I mean? I
Hmm.
once like later on, with this guy hit me up and was like, "Yo, let's check out IRC. You want to play with my team?" I was just like, "What the fuck? Competitive Counter Strike? Like actual." So yeah, that was my introduction to it. Before that was all community pubs.
Okay. So when we're talking about like you had a group of, like a team with your friends and whatnot, when did you shift over to joining your first, like, I don't want to discredit them, but legitimate team, if that's fair to say? Like, what was the story
Yeah.
behind that?
There wasn't much. It was like a lot of kind of like what everyone else does. Go on IRC. I was in Pound Recruit, Pound Find Clan, right? I was spamming away trying to get people to notice me. I would even actually go into, I had heard about this public server that professional players would sometimes just jump into to mess around and stuff with each other. You know what I mean?
Okay,
So I found about this server and I would actually go in there and try my little heart out, right? They're just like, these guys just messing around. I'm sitting there like acting like it's the craziest games of my life, right?
for
So
sure.
yeah, I used to do that. Pound Find Clan, Pound Recruit on IRC, and ended up coming up across a team called EMC. It was called Extensive Military Combat. My very first competitive Counter Strike team. Yeah, that happened. I don't know exactly when, but I was along the lines like 15 years old or something like that. 15, 16 at the time.
Okay.
So yeah, first team, extensive military combat. I even remember like we started Calo that season, and I remember my first map was actually DE Comrade Third Route.
Okay.
First match ever. Yeah.
Right on. So let's fast forward a little bit. In 2012, you joined Team Exertus, and in 2013, you played your first tournament qualifier for ESEA Season 15 North America with your new
Oh
team.
man.
How big of a moment was this for you, coming from when you were a kid? This was just a passion of yours, something you like to do, and then here you are playing a really legitimate, you got a lot of eyes on you in an atmosphere like this. Like, how did that feel to accomplish
Uh,
that?
it was cool, man. It was it kind of made it seem or made me feel like all my time spent on 1.6, all the time I spent going to the LAN centers and gaining experience and learning to kind of get my way around teams and stuff like that. Because Counter Strike's a lot of politics.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, getting to that point where I'm like playing with like Flom and shit, super cool because these guys are all incredible players. So for me to even be in the same level as that was pretty nice. And it wasn't like we were playing like professional Counter Strike, but we were playing like pretty semi-pro CS at that point. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And yeah, it felt good, man. It felt really good. I liked it.
Beautiful. And I don't mean to be this guy, but it has to come up. It
I
just
understand.
has to come up.
Don't worry about it.
The 1G Molotov.
Yeah.
So back in 2016 at DreamHacks Open in Austin, this is something that's haunted you for years, and I'm sure you
Hmm.
still hear it very frequently in your chat today.
Yeah.
Um, from your point of view, like, what have you gone through and experienced throughout the years with this surrounding you and just haunting over you?
I knew that it could have been a really bad thing if I like, you know, really pushed against it. Was more like, yo, was maybe like anti against like people saying it all the time, maybe trying to ban it from my channel or something like that. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I made the decision after it happened to just get in front of it, kind of play with people, memeing on it. So I started retweeting memes and but on the inside, I'm heartbroken. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm like, fuck, man. But on the outside, I'm like laughing with everybody. Like,
Yeah.
oh, that was. But yeah, when it happened, Yeah, it was a tough feeling. It sucked, man. Because I'd always like thought of myself as a good Counter Strike player. I'd always thought I'd had a good reputation. You know what I'm saying? And then like I really put my reputation into jeopardy at that point, at least as a Counter Strike player. You know what I'm saying? I really uh, was proud of like how far I made it in Counter Strike and how people knew me and like the connections I had made and stuff. So really just fucked all that up at that moment, right, with this thing. And I remember telling um, Desiree, which is the person I was with at the time, like, we're not even gonna stay. I was supposed to stay for a few days after the Molotov happened. I told her like, we're booking a new flight. We're leaving tomorrow.
Oh,
I
damn.
can't wait around. I can't be around this. You know what I mean? Because you knew the next day everybody and their mom was gonna be hitting me up about it. I kind of wanted to
Yeah.
just get home right away and like get in front of it. You know what I'm saying?
Avoid
Start
all of
moving
that.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Um, so yeah, I ended up going home, dude. I remember even after we had lost the series, people had already made like things for me to sign that had Molotov stuff involved,
Oh
had
my
signs
God.
already made for me to sign, pictures to take with and stuff. And I'm sitting there the whole time, like having to take pictures with people that want to say what's up to me. You know what I mean? I'm trying to be cool, streamer and stuff. But the whole time I'm sitting there thinking, like, my heart is shattered right now. You know
Oh
what I'm saying?
man.
So it's tough, man. Probably one of the hardest things I had to deal with in streaming up at that point. You know what I'm saying? It was
For sure.
yeah, it was rough. It was rough. But it ended up being like pretty cool. Obviously, I still deal with that stuff today, but it's all jokes. Nobody has like ill will towards me. Nobody's like really mad at me for doing it.
Hmm.
Everybody kind of understands that it was just like an in the moment kind of fuck up, and and it's like a kind of like cemented me in the wrong way in the Counter Strike universe. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. Like, you have stapled yourself, even besides the Molotov, like you are a staple in Counter Strike history, and then that is
yeah,
just an extra one. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm not super mad about it nowadays. You know what I'm saying? I'm
yeah,
pretty happy with what I have done in Counter Strike and people's kind of thought process on me and in the space. So I'm very people have mad respect for me in that space, bro, and it's
oh
always
yeah.
super nice.
And
You know
your
what I mean?
community seems very like they back you a lot. You have a very
Oh
supportive
yeah,
community, which looks pretty good. So
yeah. They got my back. They know they control me about it and stuff, and it's all good and fun. You know what I mean? It's like it's been a long time, right? So
yeah,
it's all good.
exactly. So after your professional career in Counter Strike, you retired obviously and focused more into streaming on Twitch, which has brought you incredible success and you've broken a lot of records. One being the most followed channel on Twitch in 2018, which I'm sure is a huge feather in the cap. How has it
I'll
been?
take it. I actually forgot about that.
How has it been seeing yourself grow and succeed with your other passion that turned into now your main passion?
It's been cool, man. It was. I wouldn't be here without Counter Strike. Was kind of the thought process I've always had. Like so another thing that's like, hey man, I'm really glad I took that route. Like I'm really glad I stumbled upon Counter Strike because there's no way I would have gotten into the streaming world without it. Because the only reason I even got into streaming was like, oh man, I'm gonna show people how good I am at Counter Strike. You know what I mean? I never thought like, oh man, I'm gonna try to entertain people and make people laugh and shit. Right? You don't think about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I transitioned to like real streamer after CS:GO came out, I was like 250 viewers, 200 something like that, and then War Z was like the big like staple for me getting into the stream thing like super serious. I actually quit Counter Strike. I quit my competitive team when I was playing with like Ward and I was playing with like really good guys. We probably could have been a pretty decent team, but I mean, dude, I was having so much fun playing War Z. I just told the boys like I can't finish the season out. I want to play this game.
Hmm.
And then actually, dude, when I first started playing that game. I actually took a hit in viewers. I just went down to like 100 viewers, right?
Ooh.
99 viewers or 50 viewers, whatever it may be. I just did it because I thought the game was fucking sweet, so I wanted to keep playing it. But then, it started kind of getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Ended up being like 1,000, 1,400 viewers, something like that. When I ended up going full time, I think. And yeah, man, it's been a wild ride. It's a little bit different trying to you know, make people laugh and playing different games and you don't get to wake up and just know that you're playing Counter Strike. Like, dude, it's so easy to wake up and just be like, I'm playing Counter Strike today. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
Every day you're playing Counter Strike. There's no decisions. Everybody knows what to expect. Nowadays, it's like, bro, even like, bro, so, big decisions could just be what game do I play? Like, how is this gonna affect the channel? How are people going to react to me playing this? You know what I mean? So back in the day, it was just so nice just waking up and be like Counter Strike, waking up Counter Strike. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So But it was like that was still the formula even when I transitioned into streaming. It was like at some point in time, even after War Z, it came back around to Counter-Strike again. So I was just all up into that when the skins launched. I don't know if you remember the skins launched. That shit was crazy.
Yeah, I joined in like late 2015, so I wasn't there for it, but like I was doing my research on Counter-Strike and stuff, and I was like even thinking of it now with like CS2 and stuff, like that must have been absolutely insane.
Yeah, it was bonkers. It was bonkers. It went from like it's funny. Counter-Strike was my night game,
Okay.
which was I would play War Z, I'd play Daisy. Nighttime games would be like, oh, let's play a little Counter Strike, right? Competitive CS. Sorry if you hear my dog barking a little bit.
That's all
Um,
good.
and then my viewership would actually tank, right? Go from like 1,400 to like 600, 500 playing Counter Strike. Nobody really
Wow.
wanted to watch Counter Strike, an incredible amount in my community. It was kind of like a game at the time that people didn't care about too much, you know what I'm saying? But then, dude, one day it just flipped, bro. The skins come out, and everybody is interested in Counter Strike. The skins
Incredible.
come out, the viewership is crazy in Counter Strike. So yeah, dude, I'm talking like I went from like let's say like 3 to 5K viewers. Counter Strike got me to like 20K
Oh my god.
concurrents. And it was like, dude, I was sitting there thinking, like, bro, I've been playing Counter Strike. What happened, dude? The skins just made everyone love that game. It was wild.
And it's like now we have charms as of last week, and like they've taken it to such an insane level. It's like what can you guys do now? Like that was the best thing I think they could have done for the franchise for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It went from like Counter Strike's kind of like a dead in the water, like arena type of strategy game to it's one of the most popular esports period nowadays, I think. And in fact, I think one of the best esports to be played. It's just got such a good formula for viewers and players. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? To experience. So yeah, it's great. Counter Strike's the goat.
And to think of it too, like you do not need skins, you do not need to open cases, you don't need to do anything, but that thrives and that drives the game to such like
It's weird.
new
It's
levels. It's crazy
it is wild. And when that was all going down, it was pretty surreal. Yeah.
for sure. So talk to me about some of the pros and cons about being a streamer as big as yourself. Do you have a lot of work on your plate at all? Like is it hard to balance that? Because I'm sure it's a very intense kind of like lifestyle, I guess.
I guess it depends what type of streamer you are. I can see streamers that, are traveling a lot and that kind of lifestyle can be a little bit complicated. Really, I'm just in the house just streaming. Most of the stuff that is difficult is all mental stuff, you know what I mean? Just dealing with the chat, negativity,
Hmm.
positivity, how to deal with that, all that stuff. When you're talking to your agency, what deals do you not want to take? What deals are going to make your brand look bad? What deals are you actually, do you want to do? What deals are you doing? Maybe just because it's like one that's very difficult to walk away from because it's very lucrative. So yeah, it's like some of that stuff. Making big boy decisions that can affect your career is kind of you know can weigh heavy on you sometimes if you have a big decision to make. I mean, I'll tell you, platform changes. Oh my god, ever since platform changes became a thing with like Mixer and YouTube and now Kick, you know, the decision making as a broadcaster is a big deal at that point, right? It's
For
like,
sure.
man, these guys are offering crazy amounts of money. You have to sit there and think like, do I want to take a lump sum of money? Can I walk away from that big lump sum of money? How is this going to affect my career? Can I survive a transition? All of a sudden, I'm supposed to be thinking about all these things over the next month, and I have to make a big decision. It's like, bro, this shit sucks. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I wish it was just Twitch and I was just gonna fucking stream here.
for sure.
Um, yeah, other than that, really, it's just being in the spotlight all the time, right? It's like, or you're under a microscope all the time. Every time you fuck up, every time I yell at a video game, every time I make someone else's feelings hurt because I'm yelling at a video game, or maybe we're intertwined with another stream a little bit here and there because maybe I came up against that person and he beat me, and I might be pissed about it. All of a sudden, the chat hoppers are jumping over there, and all of a sudden, people are pissed at me because I'm allowing chat hoppers. It's like a whole big mental thing with the
Yeah.
internet. You know how it goes. That's obviously the biggest hurdle.
And then people just want to go, oh, clip that, throw it on Twitter, put Summit's name on it, it's gonna blow up. And then now you're getting all of this, a negative attention that you probably don't want to deal with. I'm assuming who would want to deal with that?
Yeah, you don't ever want to deal with that stuff. It's simple things. It's things that you've been doing your whole life, but now you're getting, in trouble for it. Like I've
Yeah.
yelled at Counter Strike, been pissed at people playing Counter Strike, uninstalled the fucking game, said I was never gonna play it again. But like there's nobody like at my door waiting to tell me that I'm a fucking idiot for doing any of it. You know what I'm saying? I'm just kind
Exactly.
of there doing it, right?
Yeah.
So now when I do it, it's like a bigger deal, right? Oh my God, you have all this responsibility now. You don't want to like send people to the wrong person. So you got to be real careful about how much emotions you have over video games now all of a sudden and shit like that. It's like my standard has had to like gone up a little bit. I'm a big fucking sore loser. So whenever I fucking lose to anybody, I just want to like hate that person, right? You can't really do that much as a streamer because then everybody hates you. So it's like fucking hey. I slip through the cracks every once in a while on that type of stuff, you know what I'm saying? And that's the type of stuff that sucks. The drama. Watching drama is great.
Oh, for
You know,
sure.
from the outside looking in, it's awesome. As soon as you're involved in it, man, it fucking sucks. You know
And
what
when
I
you're
mean?
the face of it, especially.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so yeah, that kind of stuff. You know, it's all pretty avoidable though, for the most part, as long as you're not like a piece of shit, right? For the most part.
for sure. And this kind of shifts into the next question I wanted to ask you. With being a popular streamer, it's been shown in the past that there's dangers with being a big name, and maybe someone in your chat's pissed off and has these crazy powers of swatting and stuff like that, which is obviously a terrifying experience that you have been a part of firsthand. So I wanted you to kind of elaborate on your experience with the subject and talk a bit about this in depth so we can shed some light on the dangers of it since you dealt with that.
Yeah, yeah.
If you don't mind, I don't want to, if
No,
it's
no,
like traumatic or something,
no, no, not traumatic. Really, it's just one of those things. You try to hide your address from the internet, right? You don't give your address to the Best Buy employees when they ask you your fucking phone number, shit like that, right? You gotta, you put your phone bills under someone else's name so that anybody that's trying to call in, pretending to be you and trying to gather little bits of information, which has happened to me, right? I've had people call in pretending to be me, little bits of information, gotten my household address and sent pizzas, sent swats. It's all very scary stuff. I remember the first time it was happening, I couldn't sleep. I just kept looking out my window all night,
that's
worried about that I was gonna
horrible.
see a bunch of cops, right? Yeah, because this was the same night they started sending pizzas. This was kind of my first experience with it. But yeah, I mean that shit all sucks, man, because like I said, it's like you really got to constantly be worried about where you're putting your information, who
Hmm.
has access to what, that sort of jam. All very dangerous shit, dude. I actually just I make it a little bit easier because I go to the police station in my city, and I let them know, you know, blah blah blah. I file a little report so they have some sort of information, right? So if something gets pulled up about my household, my phone number, something like that, like at least there's some information to that police officer. Okay, this could be, false. This could be, not something we're really,
Maybe we'll
that's
call them
really a
first before
problem.
we dispatch.
Exactly. So it's my experience has always been good with the police, except for the one time at the park, which is
Yeah.
kind of out of their hands, right? So everything at my home has always been like they'll just send a couple units. Hey, just want to chit chat with you. Is everything cool inside? Yada yada yada. I'll explain stuff to them. I'll walk them through the house. All good. I don't even tell the internet when it happens because
Yeah.
that's what they're looking for. It's happened to many and many times. And yeah, just honestly, you don't want to let the internet know about it because the more you do that, the more they're going to hit you, right?
Oh, for sure.
If they don't know they're getting through to you, they might stop doing it completely, right? But yeah, but then I had the experience at the park where they're like, I was doing Pokemon Go,
Hmm.
and they called the SWAT. The police started circling the bitch. We even walked up to a cop, backpacks on, right? Because you have to have your batteries and shit.
Yeah, yeah.
We're like, yo, is everything cool? Like, you think you guys might be here for us? You know what I mean? Blah, blah, because I was with my friend. He's like, nah, everything's fine. Just go about your business. Okay. Then we're we're walking down this pathway. All of a sudden, cop cars start rolling up behind us. We see cops on the other side pointing guns at us, and they're fucking on their little speakers telling us to put our fucking hands up. And I remember holding this selfie stick in my hand, even thinking like maybe I should stop the stream. I'll just reach up and hit stop stream. And then I thought to myself like that's the easiest way to get shot, right? So I just left the stream on
Hmm.
and then walked back to the cops and ended up being cool. But it's pretty scary. They weren't just holding like pistols on us. Like these dudes were
Rifles.
propped up on the other side of the river, the little ravine with rifles, pointing right at us, thinking we're doing some shit. Because they called and said we had AKs and bombs.
Holy fuck.
So then here we are with our fucking backpacks and wires coming out of it, going to our
Oh my
phone, and we look
god.
like, you know what I'm saying? It's not looking great. So yeah, scary, very scary.
Like it blows my mind that people, I don't know why my camera's not focused. There we go. It just blows my mind that here you are, a guy doing what you love, and this is your job, and it's the best of both worlds right there. You're doing what you love, you're getting paid for it, and this is your
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Enjoying your life with your friend, and someone just goes, "I'm gonna do this," and like people
Bro.
have died over this shit. Like
Yeah,
it
like a
blows my
neighbor
mind.
neighbor got shot or something like that. Yeah. People are weird, bro. I don't know. It's envy, it's jealousy, it's maybe they just end up hating you for some fucking specific reason, which I get that shit. You know what I mean? I might tell a guy in chat to fuck off. Maybe that guy will always hate me. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he'll always be looking for an opportunity to fucking, stream snipe me or something like that. That's
Yeah,
pretty much the extent that I think normal humans will go to.
I-
Stream sniping, talking shit in the chat,
yeah.
that sort of thing. You get to a certain type of you're a fucked up human if you're starting to go further than that. You know what I'm saying?
hmm
So yeah, it all sucks. It's all stupid.
Well, I'm glad you're still here in one piece, and I'm sure the community is as well. It's a scary thing to have happen and to come out in one piece unharmed. So
I'll
glad
take it.
glad to see that.
Good cops, the police officers are on point for that kind of shit for me, at least in my experience.
Well, that's good. So you've had many, many, many highlights in your career. And something that I love about you is, like you and Shroud, I watched you guys play when I was getting into Counter-Strike. I'd watch you guys doing the ESEA pubs and like you guys, I'm from Toronto, the Toronto
Oh hell
area.
yeah,
So, I'm kind of local to where Shroud was from.
yeah.
So that kind of hit home for me. And I've been watching you guys since I was about 15. So one thing that I
No
really love
shit.
about you guys is you guys broke down that wall of like, you guys are big Counter Strike faces, right? And then you branched off to H1Z1, PUBG, GTA 5, Tarkov, and I'm sure, like you said earlier, your viewership takes a tank because people know you for Counter Strike. They want to see you play Counter Strike. If you're not playing it, they don't give a fuck. So
Mm.
that's what I've always admired about you guys so much. And I wanted to ask you, when you look back on your entire streaming career, what would you say has been your favorite game to stream, and what were some of your most memorable moments so far?
Okay. Sea of Thieves, easy, hands down. Sea of Thieves was so surreal. It like I I started playing it and would tank viewers, right? Nighttime games, you tank viewers. It's how it goes. It's kind of like my formula of getting viewers used to seeing me in other games so that it's not so foreign to them when I do have to jump over to it, right? So then it, increases the chances that they'll stick around. So I go to see Thieves and I'm just sitting there like thinking like I just need something different to play. I just need something that I'm gonna sink my teeth into for a while. So I do it thinking that it's not gonna go anywhere. All of a sudden 10K viewers turns into 12K viewers, turns into 14K viewers, turns into 20K viewers. All of a sudden,
Wow.
bro, I'm at the end of the Sea of Thieves trip. We're 75K. Dude, I'm talking like my normal stream, I will start it. It takes about 10 minutes to climb to 2,000 viewers. Then after that, it's all about just kind of when you're going to peak, you being on, right? But when I was doing Sea of Thieves at its peak, bro, I'd hit the live button. It would instantly go to 10K. It's like XQC
Wow.
style, bro. It was like, whoa, this is wild shit. All because this different play style that nobody really noticed or recognized on Sea of Thieves. This tuck sneaking play style. I would just sneak onto people's ships, right?
Yeah.
Everybody at that time was just shooting cannonballs at each other, just sword slashing, sinking each other's ships. I get in with pace. Pace shows me this other way of playing and I fall in love with it instantly, bro. We're sneaking on people's ships. We're hiding behind captain's chairs. We're fucking with people. I'm putting wieners on people's maps, bro. It's crazy. I'm moving their chests without them knowing I'm there. They don't even know how shit's moving, bro. We're trolling everybody, right? Because nobody's good at the game yet, so we're trolling everyone. Such a good time. The viewership was crazy. In fact, yeah, it has to be hands down my favorite time on stream. And my favorite moments for sure. Sea Thieves hands
Awesome.
down. Because it was just we like created another way to watch Sea of Thieves, and the viewers loved it. And it was like I said, like I peaked at like I would be at 75K view. I mean, one time I was sitting behind a captain's chair for like two hour or like an hour and a half, and it's like after a long tuck, it's now time to spring the trap, and you tuck for an hour and a half, and then the trap goes off, you'd fight for 30 seconds to 5 minutes or something like that, and then it's over. You have determined the winner of that, right? So, dude, the pressure that would amount on me with 75K people sitting there waiting for me to strike. I'm just sitting there behind this captain's chair. People are just waiting to find out what's going to happen. I would be shitting bricks some days because I know full well that some of these traps just don't work. You'll go out there and you'll try to kill one guy and you'll die, and then that's over. You know what I mean? So, yeah, some of those times were very stressful, but at the same time, it was fucking wild, dude. 75K people, you know
That's
how
a
many
lot,
people that is,
man.
bro? That's fucking nuts, dude. So, yeah, Sea of Thieves was the peak of my career for sure.
That's awesome. My personal favorite is the H1Z1 days. Those in PUBG, to me, it hits so different when you guys had that little squad going. Just all of the energy in your guys comms and stuff. It makes for some of my
Yeah.
favorite content. I love that.
Yeah, that was back in the days I got to play with Ninja a lot. I was playing with Ninja a lot back then.
Yeah,
Me
that's
and him
right.
did a lot of 2v2s on H1Z1, and we both kind of had a similar play style. So we didn't even have to we didn't have to adjust to each other. We just knew how each other played. It was kind of nice.
Perfect.
And yeah, H1Z1 was where I punched my monitor too. That was the game that pushed me over the
The
edge.
famous.
Yeah, yeah. I was actually not going to punch it. I was actually thinking to myself, like, I really want to punch it. And I'm going to move my fist forward, but I'm going to stop. You know what I mean? I'm not going to go through. And then I just kept going. I just didn't stop. I don't know why. Yeah, it was weird. It was weird. I know, you know what's funny is I go to bed that night and I'm like, all right, guys, getting offline later, right? And I'm like, kind of worried all night. Like, fuck, man, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow. People are gonna be so mad at me, dude. People are gonna be so pissed that I did that. You know what I'm saying? Probably wake up, everyone's happy, everyone's stoked about it. People are laughing about it, videos, right? I was like, oh man, huge relief, dude. I thought I was gonna have to do damage control all day about why I hit that monitor. I couldn't control my anger, you know what I'm
Oh
saying? That
yeah.
sort of thing. But yeah, H1Z1, super fun. Nothing like it. There's still not a game like it.
Hmm.
Nobody's even really taken over. Yeah, they've taken over the battle royale genre, but H1Z1 they had their special gameplay style that nobody's mimicked yet, and nobody even I don't even think cares to mimic. To be fair,
Yeah.
but it was definitely a special type of game because it was unique to itself. There was nothing else even close to it. But yeah, it was. That was a time for sure. I enjoyed that game overall the entire time I played it. I think obviously like I'm getting pissed about stuff like normal, but yeah, I think that game overall was like one of the best like battle royale experiences for sure. It was like one of the first ones too, right?
Oh
Not one of
yeah.
the first ones, but I mean one of the first like official ones, you know, that went to a game studio.
It definitely paved the way for a game like PUBG, and
Yeah,
then PUBG just took over.
yeah. I mean H1Z1 wasn't even worried about PUBG. I remember talking to Arclager, and Arclager was just like, PUBG's not going to do good. You know what I mean?
Wow.
We're not worried about that. You know, they should have been. Now that we know, right? You know,
For
hindsight.
sure. Yeah.
So yeah, PUBG
So
was dope too, man. Shroud was so good at that game.
oh my god, dude, I don't even think he's real sometimes. Like that guy's a
Bro,
robot for
me
sure.
neither. Me
He's
neither.
gotta
Me
be.
neither. He'll take situations that don't make sense that everybody will lose, and he'll somehow win them. And you're just like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
It's only because somehow he's Shroud. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He has that snapping power. He just turns to someone, they're dead. Turns to someone else, they're dead. It's like
He's
crazy.
yeah, he's a very talented guy. He's super cool too, man. Very humble, very chill. He's the same guy in real life as he is on the internet. You know?
He seems like that, you know what I mean? Like he seems like very
Yeah,
down to earth, very chill like that.
yeah, super cool.
So for people who look up to you and are maybe trying to pursue a career to an extent like you have, what advice would you give them going into their passion?
I mean, first thing, if you can, don't start with Twitch, right? You would probably want to start on another platform like that has a little bit more discoverability, like TikTok or YouTube, or even I guess what is that one? Whatever. One of the other one that's like TikTok, I forget what it's called. But yeah, obviously starting in those places because they have a little bit more discoverability is probably easier because then you can transition into Twitch. But if you're just going to start on Twitch and you had no, you know, you're just, you know, you didn't think like that. You just want to stream, you know, you're not really thinking you want to fucking, you know, try to get something kickstarted. You just want to have fun playing games right off the bat. My recommendation to people is always to do a video game that is not too large to the point where you're gonna be drowned underneath all the broadcasters to the point where you'd have to scroll so far to even see your name.
Hmm.
But you also don't want to have a game that nobody's thinking about it. Nobody's even thinking about hitting the, you know, typing the name in the browser. You have to find a game that's got a little community behind it. You know, games like Final Fantasy, games like Dark Souls, any of the Souls games, you know, Call of Duty, something like that, right? Something that's got people's interest. They want to look it up, but it's not so saturated that you can't be noticed in it, right?
Hmm.
So that's always my thought process: is start on a game that has a community, and then don't leave yourself on that game my main thing, which is what I did, which is what I tell you how I always take viewer drops and shit like that, is to make sure that you're switching games, maybe for the last 20% of your stream, to make sure that you're making yourself um, more commonly seen at playing other games, right? It's you never want your viewers to feel like it's a foreign position for you to be playing this game. Like, man, I only ever see you play League of Legends. You're playing this right now. You're
Hmm.
playing that right now. Like, you don't ever want that feeling for your viewers. Like, your viewers should feel pretty comfortable with you playing other games, even if your main game is something else. In my opinion, of course, right? This has all not been tested, theorized, none of that shit, right? It's all who knows what the fuck works on Twitch. I don't think there's a formula that is 100%.
No.
But that's kind of the formula I worked with, which was main game, 80%, end of the day, 20% of a nighttime game, just to get rid of that, only see him playing this one thing, right?
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So that's my advice. Play a game that's not too saturated, but not ever thought about. And then, treat it like a 80%, 20%. You play that for 80, you play what you want for 20.
Yeah. No, it makes
That's,
sense to me.
that's, yeah.
And it's a good way to not, I guess, typecast yourself in a way. You see it with actors sometimes they play a certain role and then they play something else and it's just like, what the hell? Like that doesn't work. You know what I mean? If you're putting the
Oh, yeah.
variety out there, like, you're setting yourself up in a good way.
Yeah, like actors with lots of ranges, right? You notice that. You notice the actors who only act one fucking type of way, right? There's a reason that The Rock and guys like Jason Statham have like a contractual agreement that says, we can't lose because his motherfuckers act in one way. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? They don't want themselves to be seen in another way. So yeah, yeah, diversify yourself as much as you can, as game wise, because like I said, the last thing you want is for you to feel cornered in a video game, and then when that game starts to tank, you've attached your stream to that game. You know what I'm saying? It's like you don't ever want your success of your stream attached to the success of a video game, right?
Yeah.
Because video games all go away eventually,
Yep.
and you don't know when. So yeah, making sure you diversify yourself and making sure you're not so foreign looking when you're on other games outside of your main game is a big deal, I think, in the Twitch world.
For sure. Hugely important. I wanted to ask you, as a previous Counter-Strike pro, what are your thoughts on CS2? Like, I know it's not your main game anymore, but as an ex-professional, someone who's made loads of content surrounding this game, and as we said earlier, stapled yourself in Counter-Strike, do you think that they're making good or bad moves over Valve HQ? Do you even pay attention to, like, because it's not your main thing anymore? Do you, like, loosely pay attention, or?
Loosely pay attention. I know like some of the things that they've changed within the game. Obviously, the client side versus server side changes are gigantic for Counter-Strike. Things like the smokes not being one way or as easily one-wayable are gigantic for Counter-Strike. I like their smoke grenades. I like how you can blow them up with grenades. I like their new Molotov changes where they're not super strong and they also have a different type of spread. Yeah, and the little blue stuff they put on it right at the top.
Yeah,
yeah. Looks cool. When it comes to like certain things, like anti-cheat and shit like that. I don't know why they're still kind of like in the prehistoric era of anti-cheat, relying on third parties like Faceit and shit like that when your direct competitor is doing it all on their own in Valorant, right?
yeah.
So I don't. But then again, like if you put yourself in their shoes, okay, like it's obvious. It's very easy to sit and be like, man, you guys should have a better anti-cheat. You should do kind of what Valorant does. But when you really put when you put yourself in their shoes, it's like, do you change what you've been doing for years and possibly alienate an audience that doesn't want to have a very intrusive anti-cheat? So I guess the decision to make, anti-cheat decisions isn't super easy for Counter-Strike. And I understand, I guess, a little bit why they rely on Faceit, but it still sucks because if you're thinking about across the fucking, the other side of the field, Valorant, if you say I'm a Radiant Valorant player, that holds some merit. You know what I'm saying? It holds a little bit of weight. If you say you're a global elite Counter-Strike player, no one gives a fuck. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So it's all about the third party in Counter-Strike, and I'm a little bit envious of Valorant style, how they have it all in one package. Their ranking system, is actually a ranking system that is shows skill sets.
And it
While
works.
Counter-Strike's yeah, exactly, and Counter-Strike's really doesn't, right? It's like it
Yeah.
doesn't really matter what you have on Counter-Strike. Like your credentials will be through Faceit or through team play in league, right?
Hmm.
Not like, oh, I'm global elite, right?
Yeah,
So
for
yeah,
sure.
I think their decision making in game is good. I've heard that the execution isn't incredible, as in like CS2 feels clunkier. It doesn't feel as snappy
Yeah.
and as as if I guess we'll say efficient as like CS:GO's style. I still see pros to this day talking about how they miss CS:GO. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And it's like you don't see huge differences when you're watching CS2, but I guess it's when you're playing it, you're feeling it. It feels a little bit worse. Personally, I've never really thought too heavily into that type of stuff. So when I play Counter-Strike 2, it feels fine to me.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
I'm also not as picky as some of the guys who have to play it every single day, right? So
Absolutely. And I wanted to. I'm sorry.
no, you're good. I'm chilling.
Okay.
Continue.
I was gonna ask you. No, you don't have to answer or anything now. We can talk about it in DM. But I wanted to ask you. I do this thing called community congregation that I host. I've done 2 of them so far, where I kind of handpick people from the community to come and we play custom 5v5s and we do funky maps like we did Nuke. But every single door and gate on the map you can open. So you can go all over the place.
That's kind of sick.
45-degree maps, mirrored maps, and stuff like that. So I was gonna
I
say,
do stupid shit. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
just for fun, like we're not trying hard or anything. So I was gonna
Yeah.
say, would Summit1G want to make an appearance to that one day if we scheduled it?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, just hit me up and I'm all about scheduling. If we make a day, a time, I'm down. Let's do it.
Okay,
I'm 100%
for sure.
down with that. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, do some fun shit in Counter-Strike.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's pretty much it for the questions I had to ask you, but I like to end things off with the guests to send a message to the viewers. But first, I want to thank you for your time. This truly was, meant a lot to me, and I'm really happy that we finally got together and got this to happen.
Yeah.
Can't thank you enough.
Hell yeah. No, I can't. Thank you for reaching out. Thanks again for being consistent. Like I said, at the beginning, I understand that my communication is not 100% there. So I appreciate you being consistent with it. I don't do podcasts very often, so I'm a little bit skeptical of them. You know what I mean? I get a little nervous. I'll be honest, my hand was shaking a little bit while talking to you. Yeah, it's great, man. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast. Like I said, it's a little bit unfamiliar. So that's the only reason I was a little bit hesitant
Yeah.
talking to you. You know what I'm saying? So,
And I get it
yeah,
too.
it was dope.
Like, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
you're great.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm sure, like I've talked to people before where they're, the content creators and stuff like that. They're like, oh, well, I've had people come and interview me for like, a university presentation or something like that. So I get it from your standpoint too. People probably hit you up all the time. Oh, can you do this? Do you want to help me with this? Do you want to do that? So for you to lend me the time, I appreciate it a ton.
Yeah,
And,
thank you.
I wanted to just give you the floor to tell the fans listening anything you'd like. If it's shout outs, words of encouragement, advice, whatever you want to tell them. This is the outro.
I'll just say, I'll keep it simple, Thank you so much for changing my life, always tuning in, keeping me, fairly successful throughout the years. I've enjoyed my time. And, if you plan on getting into the Twitch stuff, I hope you guys enjoy yourselves on it and, find your success. And, yeah, man, I appreciate everybody always supporting the channel and shit. And, support this dude too, you know what I'm saying?
Thank you. All right, guys, there you have it. The Summit1G episode concluded. Maybe we'll have him on the podcast at a later date too. Who knows? You never know what happens. But it was definitely a pleasure getting him on for at least one episode. I have nothing but the utmost respect to Summit1G for everything that he's done for streaming in general and breaking down the wall of being a variety streamer. He definitely played a big role in that. His links are in the description. I highly recommend you guys go and follow him and check him out if you for some reason already aren't, but I'm sure you already are. Merch is still in the works. I want to take my time with it. It will not be ready until the end of the year, probably carrying into 2025, early 2025. I'm going to be doing a very, very special reveal, I guess you could say, of the entire merch line that I'm going to be doing, which isn't going to be huge. It's going to be with a very, very special someone. I'm going to be going to fly out to see him, and he's going to get the whole first line of merch, and you guys are going to be very interested in that. So please make sure that you are tapping into the socials, which also are linked in the description, and you won't miss out. Thank you guys very much for tapping into today's episode. Till next time, everybody.